Imagine a single entity that commands 36% of the world's GDP, that is home to over 40% of the global population, and that sits atop almost half of the world's major oil and grain production. This isn't a future superpower, it's a current, coordinated reality. For decades, the global stage was dominated by one group, the G7, the club of wealthy, developed nations led by the United States. But a seismic shift is underway, and it's being driven by a single, terrifying to the West acronym, BRICS. This is the story of how a simple economic term evolved into a political and financial juggernaut, a coalition of the world's most powerful emerging markets with a shared, unspoken goal: to dismantle the American-dominated world order. We'll break down their secretive plan, the devastating impact on the US dollar, and what will happen when the BRICS coalition completes its mission. Our story begins not in a capital city, but on a trading floor in 2001. A British economist at Goldman Sachs, Jim O'Neill, coined the term BRIC for Brazil, Russia, India, and China. It wasn't a political group yet, it was simply a revolutionary economic thesis. O'Neill argued that the growth trajectory of these four economies was so powerful they were on track to collectively eclipse the G7 within a few decades. It was a prediction that the economic future belonged to the global South. In 2009, the four BRIC leaders met for their first official summit in Yekaterinburg, Russia, transitioning from a theoretical concept to an actual diplomatic club. Then came the first major power move. In 2010, the group invited South Africa to join, officially creating BRICS with the all-important S. The group now spanned 4 continents, marking its territory as a truly global, representative voice for emerging markets. For over a decade, BRICS operated as a club of 5, building internal cooperation and institutions. The most significant of these was the New Development Bank, NDB, established in 2014 as a direct structural challenge to the Western-controlled World Bank and International Monetary Fund. The message was clear: we will finance our own development independent of Western conditions. But the true acceleration, the point of no return, happened recently in the period of 2024 and 2025. This is where BRICS declared its full intentions. The organization underwent a massive, calculated expansion, inviting 6 new countries to join its ranks: Saudi Arabia, Iran, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Indonesia. Take a closer look at that list. By bringing in Saudi Arabia, Iran, and the UAE, the group effectively pulled the rug out from under the petrodollar. This single act meant that BRICS now controls a massive chunk of global oil and gas production. They are no longer just an economic bloc, they are an energy bloc, capable of shaking the very foundation of global finance. So what is the plan? The goal is not a military invasion, it's a structural replacement of the global governance model. Their primary strategic thrust can be summed up in 2 words: de-dollarization. For 50 years, the US dollar has been the world's reserve currency, giving America incredible power to finance its debt and enforce sanctions. BRICS is determined to end this era. Alternative payment systems. They are developing a unified cross-border payment mechanism to conduct trade in local currencies, bypassing the US-controlled SWIFT system. This is a crucial move to protect members from US sanctions and is designed to slowly erode the need for the dollar in global trade. Multipolarity. Politically, BRICS members consistently advocate for a multipolar world, one where power isn't centered in Washington, D.C., but distributed among multiple centers of influence. They aim to reform global institutions like the UN Security Council, giving a greener voice to the global South. Commodity power. With the expansion, BRICS controls vast resources, from grain and fertilizer, Russia, Brazil, to manufacturing, China, India, and energy, the new Middle Eastern members. They can use this commodity control as leverage to further accelerate the shift away from Western-centric supply chains. The rise of BRICS is a direct challenge to America's economic dominance and its post-Cold War geopolitical leadership. The core threat is the erosion of the petrodollar. If nations start trading oil in yuan, rupees, or the newly coordinated BRICS currency, demand for the US dollar will fall. This could lead to a catastrophic scenario for America: higher inflation, soaring interest rates, and the end of the U.S.'s ability to borrow cheaply to fund its massive national debt. The country could see its geopolitical leverage, the power of sanctions, blunted entirely. The G7, once the undisputed club of global power, now looks increasingly isolated, representing a smaller and smaller slice of global economic activity compared to the growing might of the expanded BRICS+. The world is no longer choosing with the U.S., it's choosing between two competing visions for the global future. The road for BRICS is not without its hurdles. Member states have their own geopolitical rivalries, notably the persistent friction between China and India. The group is an alliance of convenience, not shared values. However, the momentum is undeniable. The BRICS project is an expression of global frustration with the existing order, a demand for a more equitable global system. The future points to a multipolar world where the U.S. will be forced to compete for influence and currency dominance instead of assuming it. The next chapters of this story will be written not on the battlefield, but in trade agreements, currency markets, and diplomatic summits. The BRICS nations have laid their foundation, and the weight of the world is shifting. This is the new world order. The question is the West ready to live in it?